Okay, good evening and welcome to day 3 of our 5-day Design Your Wellness Plan challenge. I know that's a mouthful, but I hope you've gone through day 1 and day 2, very power-packed, very insightful, if I may say. And I hope that you're following along, preparing yourself for 2025. Okay, today we're going to be diving into 2 other pillars of health. And I will be guiding you into designing your wellness plan as it comes to sleep and stress management. So, allow me to share my slides and we'll proceed. You will have the replay of every session, so always feel free to go back and check it out. And let me make sure you can see my screen so we can journey along. All right. Okay, so it's day 3. Today, we're talking all things sleep and stress management. These two are actually very near and dear to my heart. And the reason why is, as a physician, when people are coming to you wanting to get fit or, get healthier, a lot of times they're thinking about nutrition and exercise. But the most commonly disregarded elements are sleep and stress management. We almost act like as if they're not important. And the more we talk about this, you realize how these pillars are not really that independent as much as we think they are. They're really codependent, and all these elements are important, but it cannot be in silo. You can exercise all you want. If you ignore all the other aspects of health, you won't be healthy. You can eat well, but if you don't manage stress, you will feel the impact of stress as well. Sleep is another one that's commonly disregarded. So your pillars are here to guide you, but just know that they don't operate in silos. So if you're designing your wellness plan and you're like, let me just focus on this one thing, I'd rather have you explore all the pillars together, but start at increments. So maybe 10%, I'm going to move this needle, but it's not a, let me focus on one and ignore the rest. And I hope you can appreciate that as you're journeying with me over the next few days. All right, let's dive into it. Sleep and stress management. All right. We're going to go through some definitions, and then, as always, we will be designing our plan together. I hope you have your workbook open and ready to work alongside me. But if you don't, at the end of the session, you can always slow things down and do it. But the workbook will be helpful to put your thoughts into paper and help you plan ahead. So what is sleep? Sleep is a natural, reversible state of unconsciousness rather. So sleep is a state of unconsciousness where the brain is more responsive to internal rather than external stimulus. Now, those stimulus can be important when we are talking about restorative sleep, because this is where your body gets to rest and do house cleaning, if I can use that word. Very simplistic, doing house cleaning. But sleep is natural, reversible state of unconsciousness where the body is more responsive to internal than external stimulus. And I'm grateful we get to sleep because our external stimulus engagement is just unending. And I'm grateful that sleep is wired into our life because it is when your body gets to respond to the internal stimulus that it gets to heal, it gets to do cleaning up. I'm being very simplistic with my definition here for my colleagues that are in healthcare. Again, this is supposed to be something that an average person can really take. But sleep is important because our body gets to rest in this unconscious state and really gets to respond to internal stimulus rather than external. That's simplistic. So why should we sleep and how many hours should we sleep? The guideline, according to American College of Lifestyle Medicine and even the Academy of Sleep, is about 79 hours is optimal for most adults. Everyone is different. This is an average number. But what I want to impress on your heart today and your mind is no less than 7 hours of sleep. It is, of course, more hours for younger patients And I'll go through a table where you'll see the expectation for each age range. But most adults over 18, 7 to 9 hours per night. Now, older adults, especially over 65, may get away with less hours of sleep. But when I mean less, is no less than 7 hours. So just keep it simple. If you're over 18, you should not be sleeping less than 7 hours. All right. So this is the table I said I was going to be showing you. We all know that infants sleep more. About most of their days are spent sleeping, and we can see that numbers start to go down and sort of plateau around 13 to 18, where everyone's sort of between 7 to 9, 8 to 10. But if you're a teenager, 8 to 10 hours. If you're an adult over 18, 7 hours or more. If you can push to the 9 hour mark, that's great. I don't get to do that every day, but I definitely aim for no less than 7 hours of sleep. Okay, so what should your sleep plan be? Again, I'm being very simplistic. There are lots more that I can tell you about the science of sleep, and I can tell you the stages of sleep. Maybe we'll dive into that in future modules, but for this, let's keep it simple. So what should your sleep plan look like? First thing is sleep hygiene. I have been one to have had some really dynamic schedules during training where we're doing 30-hour calls, going from nights to day. That itself was not good for my sleep plan, but if you happen to be one who is a shift worker, you may find some things in this course that will help you to at least make a better plan, even if you're a night worker or a third shift worker. So your sleep hygiene, what should that look like? First, let's talk about when you sleep. It's important for your body to have a target bedtime and a target wake time. If we know that if we don't plan, we fail. So as part of your sleep plan, go ahead in your workbook and put that in. When do I expect to go to bed and when do I expect to rise? Considering the fact that you need a target between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Consistency actually helps our body because we have an internal clock that says, hey, I think it's time to sleep. But if we end up changing our schedules every day, nothing's set in stone, nothing's consistent, we'll find that it makes it difficult to actually get our bodies into the routine that is helpful. In this case, sleep. Sleep is non-negotiable. So have a consistency goal, set your target bedtime, set your target wake up time, even on the weekends. Even on the weekend, when you're building new habits, you can be extreme. So allow yourself to say no to some evening outings as you are really trying to get your sleep health back. And if you must change your pattern, try to do it in gradual increments. A lot of us know how we feel when we go on long journeys and we are jet lagged and we've gone from day to night to day in 24 hours. We know how that feels on the body. So if you have to change things around, maybe you're going to be starting a night shift in 3 weeks, you can start to push your, wake up time a little bit later and push your bedtime a little bit later. You do that in 15 minutes increments. It's just kinder to your body. Okay. The other thing about our sleep plan is your pre-sleep routine. A lot of my patients are complaining around sleep issues. You'll find that their pre-sleep routine is actually terrible. So when you're going to bed and you're sitting with your phone and scrolling until you fall asleep, that's not a good plan. You may think it's mindless scrolling, but that blue light actually messes with your circadian rhythm, and that causes you to actually not sleep well. We'll get into the science of that in a later module. But if you must do anything before bedtime, you can pick a physical book, not an ebook. Again, we're talking about the light, blue light from the phones, from all these gadgets that we're always surrounded with. They actually throw off our ability to sleep well. The other thing you can do is actually just gentle stretching. I'm not saying go run a marathon before bedtime. That's actually not a good thing to do. But if you're able to stretch, yoga, anything that really just stretches your muscle, or just sit in solitude, sit and have a moment of gratitude, journaling, anything that does not involve you sitting with a gadget will be good. So choose one or two things to do, but put that phone away. Others, if you're good on this one, you can just relax. Simply do nothing. We don't get to enjoy a lot of solitude in our time. Everyone's busy until they crash. That's not a good sleep plan. The other thing is no screen time, phones, laptop, your favorite TV show. If you're done, in fact, having a TV in your room is really not advisable. So if you're done with your shows, it should be in the common area. And when it's time to sleep, you should really keep bedroom activities. And try to wrap up your screen engagement at least 30 minutes before bedtime. Okay, so that's point 2. Point 3 now, let's talk about your bedroom environment. I'm getting very granular here. If this applies to you, take it. If it doesn't apply to you, then run with it. Run without it. Take what applies to you. If you find that your room temperature is not optimal for sleep, the goal is to have between 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, depending on what part of the country you are. Make sure your room is cool enough. If it's really hot and you're sweating, you're less likely to enjoy the stages of sleep that will lead to restoration. What about darkness? There's a reason why we sleep at night when it's dark. So ensure your room is dark. If you like to have a night light on, make sure it's very small, very dim, enough to light your path to the bathroom to go use the restroom when you wake up at night, but not so much that interferes with your sleep. Some people get an eye mask if you're just not able to sleep well, or the lighting is too much, or you're in a place where you don't have enough curtains to help block out the light. You can use an eye mask to help you with that. The other thing is noise. Feel free to use earplugs or white noise machine, anything that will actually help to just reduce that noise that you're engaging. Sometimes we have spouses, you may have spouses that may snore really loudly, and I've had patients that complain about that. You can use earplugs, anything to eliminate noise will be helpful as you sort things out. And then the white noise machine is really good as well. I've used it myself, and I think it really helped me when I was recovering from working nights. The other thing is comfort. Your mattress, your pillows, make sure they're comfortable, make sure they're supportive, make sure you're using good cotton, linen. You don't use the thing that causes you to sweat. So good, soft cotton material is always encouraged. Look into that. If you need to change your sheets around, please do. And check your mattress. Make sure you're truly comfortable for sleep. Comfort is part of sleeping. You shouldn't be uncomfortable while sleeping. Okay. Now, the fourth thing I want to say is nutrition. I'm sure you're like, oh, we are done with the nutrition pillar. Like I said in the beginning of this module, everything is interconnected. So if you're one that loves your coffee, I won't take it away from you, limit it. But after 2 p.m., any intake of coffee will actually get you just more active during bedtime. So if you like your morning cup of coffee, please do that before 2 p.m. Alcohol intake as well, drinking that close to the bedtime actually disrupts your sleep cycle. So you're enjoying less sleep. You may physically be closing your eyes, but the stages of sleep that allows your body to rest and restore itself, you're missing out from. So limit your alcohol intake, avoid caffeine after 2 p.m., and hydrate on water. What about evening meals? If you're one that maybe eats once a day and you go for your biggest meal at night, try to do it outside of the window of 2 to 3 hours before your bedtime. So if you're going to bed at 9, make sure your dinner is between 5 and 6 if you must have a large meal. It doesn't mean you should go to bed starving, but if you're going to have anything within that 2 to 3 hour window, make sure it's something light, because your body is busy processing that big meal you had while you sleep, and it's really taken away from the other clean outs that your body can do during sleep. So drinking water is encouraged, but if you're going to be drinking so much water close to bedtime that you're waking up every hour to go to use the restroom, then it's really not serving you. So push up your water intake early in the day. I really encourage hydration, but if you're hydrating towards the end of the day, then you know that you're going to be waking up a lot more than you want to. All right. So that's that. Think about the 4 elements of your sleep plan. Let me go back and review with you. First is your sleep hygiene plan. Second, your pre-sleep routine. Thirdly, your bedroom temperature. And then fourth, nutrition and hydration closer to bedtime. If you touch on these elements, I think we can say that you're going to be on your journey to having a good night's sleep. All right, let's talk stress now. Everyone knows the word stress. You may have mentioned it, even your kids may have said, "Oh, you're stressing me." Even kids know what stress is. Now, stress is your body's response to anything that's demanding or challenging. It could be work pressure, it could be home pressure, it could be your health issues. Everything that puts so much stress and demand on your body will cause you to feel stressed. That state of feeling tensed, anxious, overwhelmed. Most of us can relate to this. In fact, there are also things called eustress, where good things can actually cause you to have similar response. So good things like planning a wedding, they put a lot of pressure on your body to make things happen, and those things are good things, but your body still sees it as an increased demand and your body has to level up to that. So even positive things can stress us out and in the short run can motivate us. But the negative consequences of stress over a long period of time actually leads to both physical health issues, mental health issues, and decreased productivity over time. So let's talk about how to manage stress in 2025. Okay, let me just run through this because I don't want you to think about stress as something you should avoid alone, but something that you should know enough to know how to manage it. Because life demands are life demands and they will come. But if you know the negative impacts of stress, maybe you will be more intentional about avoiding it. Okay, physical impact of health, of stress, weakened immune system. If you notice that if you've been stressed, let's say you had a few weeks of stress at work, you may end up then catching a cold towards the end of that period. It's just because your immune system is just not primed well to be able to handle stress. Imagine why I said sleep was important. Sleep is where your body gets to clean out some of the cells that helps you fight infection. So imagine when you're stressed, what are you not doing? You're not sleeping as much. As a result, not sleeping as much, being stressed lowers your immune system and your ability to fight off infection. Also, heart problems, high blood pressure, elevated heart rate. When you're feeling stress, your body responds to that stress, that increased demand. It increases your heart rate because now it has to keep up with increased demand. Your blood pressure goes up because those stressed up period actually increases your cortisol level. And when your cortisol level goes up, your blood pressure actually starts to go up as well. So if you're running away from an animal that's trying to chase you and you need to run for your dear life, that's good. You need all those things to happen, but you want it to be short-lived. Your life cannot feel like you're running away from an animal every day. So, physical impacts of health are real. Weakened immune system, heart problems, and even digestive issues. If you've noticed that anytime you're stressed, you have to run to the bathroom. So you use the bathroom more often, you have cramps in your belly, it's called irritable bowel syndrome. Stress can lead to a slew of digestive issues, including ulcers. So it's not one to be taken for granted. Be aware of it so you can manage it. What about mental and emotional impacts? Anxiety, we all know that when you're stressed, you're feeling anxious, you're worried, you're nervous. It's just so hard for you to relax. Over time can then lead to problems where even when you don't have any stress or you're just anxious. Depression goes along the same lines. When you get so stressed out over time, you really just start to feel like you're not enjoying life as much anymore. Persistent feeling of sadness, loss of interest in the things that you used to enjoy, and also being irritable. Stress causes us over time to be more irritable, we'll have mood swings. So it's not to be disregarded. You want to know about stress so that you can handle it better. And then lastly, behavioral impacts of stress. It's just difficult to cope with life when you're stressed out. And sometimes people look for other things to soothe them. So when you're stressed, people tend to drink more, people tend to smoke more, engage in more destructive substances that are not good for your body because you're trying to cope. Others withdraw completely, don't get to engage with friends and loved ones, relationships start to suffer, and that itself leads to other slew of psychiatric issues. And then decreased productivity. So if you find yourself that you're stressed out at work and that work stress is actually causing you to end up not coming through at work and doing the things that you were hired to do, that decreased productivity then starts to cause stress even more. So you're stressed, now you're not productive. And because you're not productive, you're more stressed. Now you run into that cycle of no return where you get on and then you're not able to come off of it and really leads to very, very, very bad consequences. So stress does not serve you physically, mentally, emotionally, behaviorally. Not being able to handle stress or manage stress will put you in a place where you don't want to be. And the disadvantages are very obvious here. Okay, now that we know enough, let's go ahead and plan how we're going to manage our stress in the coming year. Okay, what would your stress management plan look like? First thing I want you to be cognizant of is what your daily practice would look like. Being mindful about the things that are stressing you is very important. It's not enough to say, I'm stressed. You have to know what stresses you out because solutions only come when you can identify the problem. So I want you to be mindful. Mindful does not solve it, but at least mindful makes you aware of the issues that you're dealing with. So let's start with mindful stress reduction techniques. If you're not a yoga person, you can ignore that, but just daily stretch and breathing exercises. Being aware of our breath, being aware of our body allows us to be more centered. When you're meditating, it's not the time to then think about the things that are stressing you because then you stress more. But let's do a practice here. Let's say I'm aware that the holiday season is going to be stressful. Just so many things to juggle with work, so many family gatherings, so many things I have to do. And the thought of that starts stressing me out. Now, number one, I'm aware of those thoughts. Number two, what do? I allow myself to sit through the thoughts. Okay. Right now, I know that I have to plan for the holiday, but because I have to plan for the holiday, I get to show up when I take care of myself first. But now I'm going to just sit and meditate. I'm going to think about the joys of the holiday. I'm going to think about the things that I enjoy. Even though those things may be stressful, I'm going to extract the things that are good in those experiences. By doing this, it allows me then to plan more meaningfully about those things that I think will be stressful. So set a goal of how long you will be meditating this week. Meditating on positive things, meditating on scriptures if you're a Christian, meditating on times when you were not as stressed. It's good to give yourself a break. The work will still get done, but you get to show up and show up in a way that allows you to be productive. The other things you can do to manage stress, number two, is not to do life alone. Social support and boundaries are very important. So being able to leverage your family and friends for support rather than doing it alone is important. Drawing boundaries. So if you're stressed out because everybody comes to you for all of your issues, and that's really what really stresses you out, then your goal, based on number two, is to set boundaries. But like I said, you have to know what and who brings on those stressors. But if you have a support system that can help you handle some of your stressors, even if it's just, can I talk this through? Can I discuss this with you? Those things can help give practical steps on how to handle the stressful issue. So number one, be mindful, meditate, think about great times when you're able to handle things better. If you need to delegate, ideas always come from meditation. Number two, leverage your social support. Time management is the other thing. A lot of times when we're stressed out, it's because we have too many commitments and there's just so little time to do it. Being able to manage time is a skill that I think should be taught from kindergarten because it's so important and it spills over into everything that we do in an adult world today. So you have to be able to prioritize tasks, the things that you must do, that only you can do, where you should focus your energy. But if you find that there are other things that you can delegate, that you can reassign, or that you can delay at a later time, do that. A lot of times when I see some people's schedule, it just doesn't reflect self-compassion. You have many great ideas, but all of a sudden you've made them priority one, and everything is just must do today. Who said? You design your plan, you get to rearrange it to fit your life. So if you must manage stress well, you must be a good time manager because you cannot be living on an emergency basis every day where everything is an emergency. Everything is an emergency. That is not how effective people operate. And please give yourself self-compassion. If you notice that you are not able to get to a task, it's okay. Reassign it for a day when you can get to it. Don't beat yourself up too much because when you start on that negative self-talk, it spirals out of control. Other thing is cognitive behavioral techniques. So that is a big lingo from reframing negative thoughts. So if you're one that is stressed out and just say, you know what, this is too much for me, I'll never be able to get this thing done. The fact that you're saying it, you will not position your mind in a place where you can get things done. So if you're one that allows yourself to sit in negative thoughts all the time, know that those thoughts are not serving you. And if those thoughts are not serving you, you have the power and the will to control them. So do a self-reflection. Pay attention to the words that you're telling yourself when you're stressed out. If you're saying, this is too much, I can't handle this, I want to quit, just say, hey, this is too much. Let's see what I can delegate. Let's see what I can reschedule for next time. It's not acknowledging that the problem is not there. I still said this is too much. But because your thoughts are now positive, you're able to open the doors to opportunities that may come. Okay. All right. So make sure that you reflect, see where you are, get a sense of the things that stresses you out. So that at the end of the week, at the end of every week, you can sit down and say, how did I do? What were the things that stressed me out when the week started and how did I handle it? What went well? What didn't go well? This is your life. This is your plan. You get to tweak it and redesign it however you want. But make sure you're doing a personal check-in to see, how am I managing my stress? What were the challenges I had? Did I overbook myself this week and I was stressed? Did I not plan for the week? That's why I was stressed. At least give yourself real-time feedback and let yourself know, what will I focus on next week? If this week was about, managing my schedule, that's great. If you did a good job on that, what will I focus on next week? What do I need to manage? Do I need to manage boundaries better this week? So allow yourself to give yourself constant feedback. This is a living document you're building, and you will be tweaking and tweaking until you get to a place where you feel like you can manage your stress better. Okay. So now that we've talked about sleep management and stress management, I'm going to give you my general caveat. This is your plan. The sleep plan and your stress management plan is yours to keep. If it's too simple, if you're crushing it in all these good ways, that's great. You may need additional time with our coaches to help you intricately look at your plan and see if there's any opportunities. So feel free, if you need additional time, get on the community at livingedifiedtribe.mn.co. You can get time with our one-on-one coaches. We'll review your plan and see what we can tweak. But if you feel like you need help, this is not working, this plan, I'm not winning with this plan, allow yourself to go at increments. After month 1 or week 1, if you feel like you need help, definitely reach out to us. We'll be able to assist you. But this is your plan. Modify as you go. Okay. So what are the next steps for today? Download your workbook, plug in your plans, write it down. Don't let your plan be in your head. Even the Bible says, write the vision down and make it plain so that you can run with it. So go ahead and print out that workbook, write your plan down. We've talked about nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. Go ahead and do that. And also share this challenge with a friend. If you found something good, don't keep it to yourself. The replays are available. It's free. This can just be the beginning of the greatness that can come out of lots of people next year. So if you're holding on to this information, please don't. Share it with a friend and your family member. If you want to follow us and just get more health content as you journey through, I have a podcast. It's called Living Edified with Dr. O. And we're on Spotify and Apple listen to us on those platforms, check out our website. We have a slew of other services that we offer at livingedified.com. Follow us on Instagram at livingedified, and I will see you tomorrow. Take your time with this plan. Remember, you're planning for the rest of your life. There's no rush. There's no rush to any of this. That's why the replays are available. Let's try to make 2025 the year that we truly get our health back. Okay? All right. I will see you tomorrow for day 4 of our 5-day Design Your Wellness Plan challenge. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next module.